Hello and welcome to my very first Beatles video. I've been a Beatles fan for many years now and have become very familiar with the history of the band from their earliest work to their later solo albums. As I listened through hours of Beatles music, both official and unofficial releases, there was one era that slowly began to emerge as my favorite. That era would be the Get Back, Let It Be sessions of early 1969. The Let It Be album is not only my favorite Beatles album, but the history behind its recording fascinates me. The Get Back sessions are regarded as one of the most tumultuous times in Beatles history. The music is often seen as subpar and weak. While tensions were high during the sessions, I would argue that the music from this period is some of the best in their entire discography. Classic songs like Get Back, Two of Us, I've Got a Feeling, and Don't Let Me Down originate from these sessions. In addition, there are hours upon hours of unreleased recordings from the sessions, including impromptu jams and covers of some of their favorite songs. Luckily for die-hard fans, the entirety of the Let It Be sessions were filmed by a camera crew, as the Beatles were attempting to make a documentary film to go along with the album. As a result, there are hours of bootlegged audio recordings from the sessions. As I said before, Let It Be is my favorite Beatles album. But even though I like the whole album, one song in particular has always stuck out to me. The title track, Let It Be. The history, recording, and mixing of this song are very complex yet very interesting. To start, there are many versions of the song out there. Most Beatles fans are aware of the different guitar solos that exist. The YouTube channel You Can't Unhear This did a great video explaining the different solos. We too will be looking at some of the differences in various mixes of the song Let It Be. But before we get into that, let's get a little background on the song. The song originates from a dream that Paul McCartney had in which his late mother Mary visited him.
I'd been overdoing it. It was the 60s and we were just getting crazed and stuff a lot of the time. And so I went to bed and wasn't feeling too great inside in myself. And in the dream, my mother came to me in the dream, and she died maybe 10 years previously. She seemed to realize that I was going through struggles. And she said, it's going to be okay. It's all really going to be okay. She said, just let it be. I went, I felt great, and woke up and thought, what was that? What? And I remembered the dream and thought, what did she say? Let it be. And then I sat down at the piano and wrote the song.
The dream inspired him to write Let It Be during the White Album sessions in 1968. The Beatles messed around with the song but wouldn't formally record it for several more months. A rehearsal from the White Album sessions was just recently released on the 50th anniversary reissue and provides a look at how the song evolved and changed over the next year.
When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Malcolm comes to me, whispering words of wisdom, let it be, let it be, let it be.
The song made its first appearance in the Let It Be sessions a few months later on January 3rd, 1969.
When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my darkest hour, she is standing right in front of me.
People joke about Maxwell's Silver Hammer taking forever to record and perfect, but you could also make a case for the song Let It Be. It would take many tries before the Beatles recorded a version that they were actually happy with. They recorded over 100 takes of Let It Be between January 3rd and January 31st of 1969. On January 31st, the final day of recording for the album, the Beatles recorded takes 20 through 27 of Let It Be. The basis of all the officially released versions is take 27A.
When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother
However, the Let It Be album and its title track wouldn't see the light of day for over a year. The single version of the song was released on March 6, 1970. In that time, several overdubs were recorded and added to Let It Be, including the guitar solos heard on the single and album versions of the song. The single version solo was recorded on April 30th, 1969, at the time of the Abbey Road sessions. The distorted album version solo was recorded on January 4th, 1970, in the last true Beatles session. These two solos are just two of many though. As I said, the Beatles recorded over 100 takes of the song. George Harrison improvised the song solo during the Let It Be sessions, resulting in slightly different solos each time. One of these additional solos made its way onto the Let It Be Naked version of the song, released in 2003. However, even though the naked version is also based on Take 27A, it uses the guitar solo from Take 27B. Takes 27A and 27B are two different takes. Take 27B was recorded immediately after Take 27A and is very similar, only differing slightly in the vocals and guitar parts. Take 27B is also featured in the Let It Be film. The original guitar solo from 27A sounds like this. If you've watched the You Can't Unhear This video, you'll remember him discussing the ghost guitar solo that can be heard in the album and single versions of the song. All the ghost guitar solo is remnants from the original solo from Take 27A, the one that we just heard. If I isolate one of the channels of the album version, you can hear a couple of the ghost guitar notes more clearly. Like I said, George Harrison recorded a lot of solos for the song. Here's one from January 27th. And here's one from Take 23, recorded on January 31st. For the most part, we'll be discussing the three officially released versions of Let It Be: the single version, the album version, and the naked version. The most obvious difference between them is the guitar solos, but there are also several other subtler differences. For example, the single version and naked version both feature background vocals not found in the album version.
Let it be, 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 let it be.
These background vocals were overdubbed later by George, Paul, and Linda McCartney to replace the original ones. Let's just say they're quite an improvement over the original backing vocals.
Let it be, let it be, let it be, yeah, let it be. A whisper word.
Perhaps one of the most controversial additions to the song was the orchestral backing added by Phil Spector. The album version prominently features the orchestra in place of background vocals. The orchestra can be heard on the single version too, but it's much quieter. Here's how it sounds on the album version.
Let it be, let it be, let it be, yeah, let it be.
Another overdub that occurred were some additional drums that were added right after the guitar solo. The album and single versions feature this overdub, along with an extra guitar part. On the single version, both the drums and the guitar part are much quieter than the album version, but the naked version lacks these overdubs completely.
Shine until tomorrow, let it be. Shine until tomorrow, let it be. I wake up, shine until tomorrow, let it be.
There are also several more differences in mixing. For example, Phil Spector added a distinct echo on the album version that can be heard especially in the drums. The single version was mixed by George Martin and does not have an echo, nor does the naked version.
When the broken-hearted people living in the world agree. When the broken-hearted people living in the world agree. And when the broken-hearted people living in the world agree.
There are also slight differences across the three mixes in the volume of the organ and the piano. The differences are most noticeable in the part leading up to the guitar solo. Another thing that varies across mixes is whether a guitar part or an organ part is included just before the guitar solo and at the conclusion of the song. The album version exclusively uses the organ parts, the naked version exclusively uses the guitar parts, and the single version uses a hybrid. Now here's the part at the end of the song. Phil Spector also extended his mix slightly by repeating part of the final chorus, presumably to make room for that awesome guitar solo. And lastly, like how each version of the song features a different guitar solo in the middle, each one also features a different guitar solo at the end. The album version, which we just heard, uses the distorted overdub, recorded on January 4th, 1970. The single version features a hybrid of the distorted overdub solo and the original solo from take 27A. The naked version uses the one from take 27B. Here's the single and naked versions. And just for reference, here's what the original guitar solo at the end of take 27A sounds like. You can hear it very softly in the single version mixed in with the distorted guitar solo. While it's interesting to observe the differences across mixes, it can also be a little frustrating. If you're anything like me, you're probably wondering what it would sound like if the different mixes of Let It Be were combined into one. This idea is a challenge that I recently undertook. Using multi-tracks of the 3 officially released versions of Let It Be, I set out to create the ultimate mix of the song. For example, my version includes both the choir background vocals and the orchestra. Let it be, let it be, let it be. I also created a custom hybrid mix of organ and guitar parts. There are a few other things that I did in my mix that differ from any officially released version. If you'd like to listen to the whole mix, I'm going to be putting a link to stream it in the description. As a Beatles fan, I've been wanting to make a video discussing this song for a while. Even though tensions were high during the Let It Be sessions, the Beatles still managed to create some of the best music of their entire career. I hope that you enjoyed watching and maybe learned something new. That's all I have for this video, so until the next one, just let it be.